Dr. Mirza Sarwar Beg. Dr. Mirza has completed his Doctor of Philosophy in Biosciences in the year 2019 from the Department of Biosciences, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. He has over 3 years of teaching experience in various departments, bioscience, biotech, and computer science of Jamia Millia Islamia. His research experience are in the areas of molecular biology, virology, plant physiology, plant tissue culture, and applied bioinformatics. He's presently working as a research associate in ICMR and lecturer in the Department of Molecular Medicine at Jamia Hamdard University. In his session, he will be covering the topic on expectation of evaluators of funded research projects and what to target. Dr. Mirza, on behalf of all of us, I welcome you to this FDP and to deliver your talk in the FDP session. So over to you, Dr. Mirza. Welcome. So you need to please unmute your mic, please.
Purnima ma'am, you can unmute him.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute him.
Yeah. Purnima ma'am, you try, I'll stop.
Yeah, I'm trying, but it is not giving an option to unmute. Mirza sir, can you please hear us? If you can please unmute yourself.
Unmute. I have unmuted.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. So welcome, sir. You may please continue with your session. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Good morning, participants and dear students. I am going to present a webcast entitled Project Proposal Writing, Expectations of Evaluator of Funded Research Project and What to Target. I will try to deal each and every part of this title, project, what exactly is project proposal and how to write a good proposal. What are the expectations of an evaluator from your proposal? And what are the main targets of your proposal? So in the beginning, on the first slide, I can say in a simple sentence that writing of a project proposal in the present era is an art, and acceptance of a proposal by a funding agency is really a science. So I will unveil these things in my preceding slides. Here in the next slide, I am going to discuss about the expectations of the event.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you please share your screen so that the presentation is visible to all the participants?
Okay, okay.
Yes, it has appeared. Please click on the full screen mode.
Okay, okay. So I am really starting from the initial, from the start?
Yes, sir.
From the title page. Okay.
Sir, can you please put it on the full screen mode, please?
Okay. Yeah, is it visible on the full
screen? Yes, sir. Perfect, sir. Thank you. You may continue.
So the entitle, my webcast is entitled Project Proposal Writing, then expectations of evaluators or the reviewers of funded research project and what to target. So I am going to discuss in 3 broad headings. The whole lecture is going to be discussed in 3 broad headings. The first is what exactly is project writing of a project proposal, and what are the expectations of the evaluators or the reviewers of the funding agency, and how we have to target the reviewer, or how we have to target, or how we have to fetch a project from the funding agency. So I will discuss all these things in my proceeding slides. So I have written a simple statement, but it is not so simple. Thus, what exactly is I want to say, writing a project proposal in the present era is an art, and acceptance of the proposal by funding agency is really a science. So you can understand the thing by moving to the next slides. So I will escape from the first part of the how we are going to write a project proposal. I will discuss it in the next slides. First, what are the expectations of an evaluator? What are their expectations of the evaluator of the funding agencies, and what they expect from my proposals? So there are at least, they have three expectations. Broadly, we can classify these expectations in three categories. The first one is relevance. What is the relevance of our research proposal? Then at what quality I have written the proposal, and what is the feasibility of this proposal? So relevance is going to be judged on at least three parameters. What do you want to do this research? Why do you want to do this research? Any evaluator can ask a simple question: why I will invest you? Are you a right person to invest or not? So you have to justify, yes, I am the right person, and my research proposal is very relevant and relevant. So then he will just again ask, will this research adding to the state of knowledge? It means, will your relevance, will your research proposal will add on in the state of knowledge? Then we will convince him that of course my proposal will produce high impacting publication or XYZ. Then the relevance can be estimated in another parameter. What is the expected outcome of your proposal? Then we will try to convince, or a proposer will try to convince that I may get patents or another collaborations or industrial partnership from this proposal. Okay, so on these three parameters, the relevance of your proposal can be judged. Then the evaluators or reviewer ask about the quality. It means, what is the quality of your research, or what is the quality of your proposal? So on this juncture, the evaluator will ask, how are you doing the research? It means, what are the methods you are adopting to perform the research? And is your qualification sufficient to do this research? It means, whether you are work or individual PI, or whether you are going to work in a teamwork. So the qualification of a proposer is also estimated before disbursal of the fund. So what on the third point, the feasibility of the research proposal is going to be judged. On the part of feasibility, whether the proposal is going to be properly implemented or not. So on this point, can you achieve the goal with you or with your team? So feasibility will be judged on this basis, whether you are individually handling the project or whether you are working in a team to handle the project. Or can you achieve the goal within the time horizon, or can you achieve the goal with respect to the resources which have been allocated in the form of budget? So at least the major expectation of an evaluator is the relevance, quality, and feasibility of your proposal. If all these three, on these three parameters, if you are judged, then the evaluator will try to evaluate your proposal on another features. So there are some pre and post approval stages of a research proposal. The pre-proposal stages are categorized in the concept note in the form of pre-proposal, full proposal, and proposal defense. Most of the time, they are optional. Sometimes a full proposal is accepted in a single go, or sometimes the funding agency asks you a concept proposal or pre-proposal. When these two stages are screened out, then the final proposal is going to be asked. But these are another part, and these are the pre-approval stages. And when your full proposal is going to accepted, then the funding agency calls you to defend or present your full proposal through oral presentation within a limited time before a board of directors or before the experts. So you have to justify your proposal before the experts. When the proposal is going to be approved after the proposal defense, another stages are known as post-approval stages. In this, after approval, you have to submit the progress report at the fixed time interval of 1 month, 1 year, or 6 months, etc., until the closure of your project. So you have to submit the progress report on a regular basis or regular interval of 1 year or 2 year or XYZ. Then after the approval of your project, what is the outcome of your research? And the outcome of your research is going to be evaluated on the basis of number of papers or the number of presentations you have done during the course of this project. So how many papers you have published and how many posters or oral presentations you have done during this tenure of this project. Then scientific publications and extension manuals and policy briefs are going to be discussed. And the third part of the title is what to target. It is the most important part before putting our proposal, how and what to target. The proposal must be capable of convincing the evaluation committee. It is the most important part. Before writing a proposal, we should know that our proposal is very convincing for the evaluation committee. So this is the first target or our goal, to write such a proposal which can be easily forwarded or which can be easily accepted by the evaluation committee. When this stage is completed, there are 4 major goals which a proposer have to attain. The first one is credibility, then achievability, then practicability, and fourth, reproducibility of the research. Credibility is going to be judged on the basis of whether your proposal is true or whether your proposal is innovative or your own, or you are going to handle it as such by your own. So credibility is the most important goal of a proposer before putting the proposal to a funding agency. Then whether he will achieve the proposed work within the time frame or not. So a proposer should always prepare such a research proposal which can be achieved within the time frame. It should have a practical aspect, not only the theoretical or having a very telescopic science. It should be very practical. The proposal should be very practical, which can be practically implemented by other team of researcher if they want to reproduce your work. So after getting these 4 hurdles or goals, which can say we can easily say hurdles or goals, the another is category, and the another purpose or another way of the proposer is to address at least 4 of people present in the evaluation committee, which will evaluate your proposal. First one, I would thank police
Participants, I think we have a connection problem at the speaker side. Please be patient and we'll be connected soon. So please be patient.
Sir? Mirza, sir?
I think he's lost his connection.
Sir, your voice is not audible. Hello?
Lost his connection.
Okay, let me call him. There is some connectivity issue. He is just connecting back. So it will just take 1 minute.
Participants, please stay connected. Dr. Mirza will be joining us very soon. Yes, Dr. Mirza. Can you please unmute yourself? Sir, please unmute. Yes, it is visible and it is audible both.
Yeah. Sorry for interruption. I am going to the next slide. So, due to interruption, there is some technical errors. Okay. Are you? It is okay. Fine. Okay. So now,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Sorry. Now I am going to discuss how to write a good research proposal. This is the main targeted work of any researcher, budding researcher, to how to write a good research proposal after the completion of masters or after the completion of doctor of philosophy. We want to fetch a research project from any good funding agency to do my own independent research. So for doing our independent research, you have to write a good research proposal. And for this, at least you have some good capability, inbuilt capability inside you, or you have to develop some capabilities inside a budding researcher. So be patient, be practical. This is one of the most important part. For writing a good proposal, you have to be practical. It means you have to write a proposal with a full balanced mode, with a realistic understanding of what can be achieved. So you have not to very ambitious or very under ambitious. You have to write exactly the practical approach with balanced realistic understanding. So be practical. It is the most important property which we have to develop as a budding researcher. Then be a good planner. It means we have to survey the literature or research article and survey article and commentaries, etc., etc., in the literature and develop new avenues to choose and research. Why I have chosen this research proposal or this work, we have to justify what have been done and what I am going to do and what is the gap in between these. So we have to be a good planner. We have to have a good planner. Then the third property which we have to develop as a researcher, be persuasive. Convince reviewers, funding agencies, educational institutions, and supervisor that the research is worthy. It means we have to convince that my research is going to act and it is worthy to be funded. So be persuasive. The fourth one is be crystal clear. It means our aim and objectives and our concepts should be crystal clear, unless and until our proposal will not clear. So before writing a crystal clear proposal, we should have our own concept crystal clear to write a proposal in a simple language such that a non-specialist can comprehend and easily understand what a proposer wants to say. Be a good finisher. This property should also be incarnated in our personality. Be a good finisher. It means objectives which I am mentioning in my proposal should be achieved within a stipulated timeline. And sixth property, which is not very necessary, but make a broader link through social networking or social engineering with scientific community or scientists to discuss your ideas or borrow their ideas for your own research. So it is also important to have a networking capability, developing a networking capability inside a budding researcher. Okay, then what are the chances of rejection? Why the proposal are going to be rejected? So I am giving you some rule of thumb on account of which the research proposal are going to be rejected. First, the most important, most of the time funding agency replies the author that your proposal is not up to the standard. Rather, they say some formal reasons we are not accepting your proposal. And what may be these formal reasons? These formal reasons may be missing element in the submission of documents. It means your documents are not up to the mark which you are submitting or which you are reflecting your profile. Then deviation from the recommended structure and style. It means if you have written a proposal which is not in the proper format as suggested by the funding agency, then this deviation may also lose your chance to get a proposal, fetch a proposal or get a proposal. And third one and most important is poor presentation of your proposal. And the poor presentation of a proposal may be due to poor English writing, careless prepared and incomplete figures and tables presented in the proposal, and inconsistently cited or incomplete references. These are the poor presentation are the most important factor which causes which increases, which amplifies the chances of rejection. So before writing a good proposal, you have to prepare a good presentable proposal, and what are the bare minimum requirements which we have to know before writing a good proposal. I will discuss or I will unveil these things in my coming slide. So we will discuss some writing skills and do's and don'ts during proposal writing. What are the some writing skills which we have to develop, whether we are of native English speaker or not, whether because English is now an international acclaimed or internationally most communicating language in scientific world. So we have to develop some writing skills for our research proposal. And what are the starting point of our proposal? Before writing a proposal, learn or read the literature, read something more than literature, and learn from others' experiences, which is very important factor, which we our experience is not supporting me, then I have to support me from the others' experiences. So it is the most important rule of thumb before writing a proposal. Then write the proposal in simple and direct language, which can be easily understandable for the reviewer. Then use unbiased language. Never use the biased language in the proposal, because a scientific temperament does not allow to use biasing in any science. So use unbiased language for the science, for the good betterment of the scientific temperament. Another point is strictly follow the recommended structure and format of the funding agency. It is also important point. Otherwise, you may lose the chance of getting the. Follow a logical order. It means you have to follow the in proper logic from the top to the bottom of the proposal, from the page first to the last. Be clear, concise, and complete. It is important. Don't use vague words like large area in the text. Rather, put a exact figure. It means 3.5 million hectare XYZ, blah, blah. Get to the point quickly and stick to it. It means don't reshuffle from your points, what you have said earlier and what you have said later. There is no confliction in these two statements. So point should be clear and stick to your own statements, and don't change your statement from one page to another page. Then cite only references that are relevant and absolutely necessary. So because proposal is not a thesis, so don't use so many references. Rather cite only the most important, most significant references that is absolute or absolute necessary for your proposal. Then include only graphical elements that are necessary. It means that picture or graph XYZ if required. Or if you have done your preliminary data or information, then you can generate the graphical elements in your proposal. Use a standard units and abbreviations and be consistent throughout the proposal. The most important part, always use a spell checking during the typographical error in your typing. So this is the most annoying part for a reviewer. So be careful and check the spelling properly twice and thrice after the writing of the proposal. And when you are using the abbreviations, it should be explained once at a time. So these are the some do's and don'ts, and mostly these are do's to discuss before a proposal. Most of the time when we write a proposal, when we use some unnecessary words, so prevent from such unnecessary words in our proposal and write only a permitted standard of English phrases or proverbs which are allowed for a good proposal. So these are some examples which I am reflecting on the screen, so you can understand what I exactly want to say. So these are some unnecessary words which we have to ignore and which have to use the permitted words which are most of the time a scientific community uses in its proposal. Then another important factor is lengthy expressions. Don't write a very big sentence or lengthy sentence with lengthy expressions. So use short words, short sentences, and terminate your sentence where the meaning is going to be completed. So there are some other set of lengthy expression and short expression which I have mentioned on this slide to be careful while writing a good proposal. So what exactly is the content of a proposal? Or a research proposal is a blended of these headings. So we have to have put these broad headings under a sequential manner. So the content of a research proposal are the starting and the most important component of a proposal is title of the proposal. And the title of a proposal should be catchy and appealing. It is the most important part, because now a traditional titles or traditional subtitle is not going to be entertained. So we should have a catchy and appealing title, and which is sometimes we can say from the different from the league. So use a catchy title for your proposal. Then another component of your research proposal is background or introduction. It means it should be idea driven and innovative. I will discuss these heading under the oncoming slides. So background or introduction is also an important and integral part of a research proposal. Then rationale of your study. It should be strong and clear. So rationale of the study should be stated strongly and clearly so that a reviewer is going to be convinced. Then review of literature, it is not a very important component. Rather, some funding agencies have asked for the review of literature, or some ignores the review of literature. But for a budding researcher, we should have a control on our review of literature. So a review of literature should be written in a chronological and well-connected manner, interwoven manner. So we will discuss how to write a review of literature. Then the fifth important component is objectives and methodology. Objectives and methodology should be clear-cut and briefly stated. Another important component is ethical consideration. So most of the time in the life sciences or in the medical sciences, the ethical considerations are very important while handling the patients, while handling the animals, while handling the cell lines and tissues, etc. So in this case, ethical considerations are very important, and we should have met the standard of ethical standards in our proposal. Then budget is the most important part of our proposal, and it should be fairly declared. And the timeline, whether your research proposal is for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, etc., you have to mention the clear-cut timeline of your research proposal. And then another important component is appendices of the documents and the references or bibliography or of your cited work. Here I am showing you some part of a research proposal is scientific and some part is associated with financial or wealth generation. So when we do our work in a consortium manner, then we have to we have to depend our financial support, and we have to generate wealth through our own research. But the most important for a single PI based in work or research proposal, which is not heavily funded, we have to focus on this funneling of research planning. So what should be the funneling of the research planning? It is clearly differentiated into two stages: pre-empirical stage and empirical stage. So a scientific part which we have to perform during our research proposal, we have to perform pre-empirical stages and the empirical stages. The pre-empirical stages are considered to be literature theory and review of literature, ideas and research areas and context, and amalgamation of all these three in a form of problem statement. Then the problem which I have generated or idea which I have generated has to be generating a research question. And when these research questions are generated by a proposer, it should have some hypothesis behind his problem. So we have to generate our hypothesis and objective how to solve these hypothesis. If these objectives are going to be solved, then data or collection data is going to be analyzed, and then hypothesis testing, and then final knowledge development is going to be handled. So this part of empirical stage is going to generate a knowledge source. So the funneling is based on context, literature review, questions, hypothesis, and goal. It means starting from the general knowledge up to the highly specific knowledge, we have to prepare ourselves to handle these stages properly before writing a research proposal. So I am going to discuss the most important parts or components of a research proposal, which which can be a background, which is known as background or introduction. So introduction should clearly stated. Introduction is the initial pitch of an idea. So we have to mention our introduction in a very brief or in a very compact and comprehensive way. So we have to write our ideas in a very clear cut and well through thoughtful ideas which form the backbone of the proposal. Then these creates interest in the reviewer about the topic and the proposal. When these ideas or when these thoughtful ideas are going to be analyzed by the reviewer, when it is going to illuminate him, then he adequately address whether you are going to adequately address the gaps in the previous research or not. If yes, how will this research add knowledge, practice and policy in this area, and whether your introduction is discussing national and international importance of the proposed topic, and then finally, what is the significance of the proposed work. So these all aspects are going to be discussed in your introduction, and for writing a good introduction, a budding researcher should have knowledge of search engine and literature databases, where now full-fledged research article and publications are available on a one go in the form of Google, Google Scholar, PubMed, Scopus, Medline, and blah, blah, several large number of literature databases which are free of cost. Without investing a single penny, we can get the most updated information or data from these literature databases. Then another point, broad heading of our proposal is rationale of the study. What is the logic? What is the rationale of a study? Why you are going to perform this study? So the rationale of the study should be stated about the hypothesis or of hypothesis of the research proposal, and then it should convey a strong message to the reviewer that your work is novel and innovative. So the rationale should be justified that this is innovative and novel idea. It is not going to be borrowed from other. Review of literature is another component of a proposal. So I have mentioned it in a bottom-down approach that you have to gather the information in a chronological order from the past to the present. We have to discuss the thing from the past to the present or present to the past, but we have to analyze the data since last 5 years or 10 years in a chronological way. Then summarize each research article or paper which you are studying for writing your literature in a single paragraph, and concise paragraph is going to be highlighted in the form of crux in your proposal. Then arrange intelligently so that a reviewer can grasp or infer about your understanding related to the field of research. So reviewer can read your brain by simply a study of the review of literature, which can give the illumination of your understanding of the subject. And the finally, progression of the review can move from more general to the more focused studies, from up to the climax. It means the review of literature should be connected in the form of a story from up to the climax. The objective should be clearly stated. How many objectives you have chosen in your proposal? If you have chosen 5 objectives, 6 objectives, then you should broadly classify these objectives into 2 categories. First may be the primary objective, which may be experimental, and some may be secondary objective, which may be computational, because most of the time now hypothesis testing is going to be implemented on a computational way. So bioinformatics or computational biology gives a new avenue for the justification of your proposal through the computational or in silico analysis. So now the funding agencies just want whether your objectives are computationally verified or not. So we can categorically put our objectives in 2 forms: primary objectives which are heavily experimental, which is very expensive. So the funding agencies judges whether your objectives are totally experimental, or they are heavily expensive, or they are some much expensive. So we intelligently we can handle our objectives in the primary and secondary one. Then then we should select such objectives which are easy to approve from the ethical committee. So before taking the objective, we have to take an intelligent idea how to get the approval first. This is the main motto, to how to get the approval. So in this context, we have to select such objective which can be easily ethically cleared. And each and every objective, if you have taken 6 objectives, that it means at least 2 objectives should be completed in a year for the 3-year project. So you have to clearly mention the timeline of your one objective, whether it is completed in 6 months or 1 year. It should be also mentioned in the proposal. And beyond these criteria, we should also have an idea whether the instrumentation facility available in the institute or university allows us to do my experiment. So before writing an objective, we should have an idea of this, the instrumentation facility available at the university or institute. So this is the whole. After the completion of our objective or attaining our objective, we generate data, and after the processing of data, we produce information, and the information finally becomes the source of knowledge. So objectives are the avenue, or objective is the threshold from where the data, information, and knowledge is going to be generated. Then each and every objective should be discussed under the heading of methodology or research plan. So in the research plan section, we have to discuss what the objective I have written and by which mean or by which source I will attain this objective. So for this, you have to write the exact appropriate scientific method to solve your objective, including specific references to website, databases, and key text author. In writing a methodology, the best way is to draw a flow chart to depict the whole problem or whole objective, and by which mean you are going to solve the problem. So draw a flow chart. Drawing a flow chart is one of the best way to understand the complete research plan of your work to a reviewer. And sometimes other components may be the part of research plan. It means in the case of medical science, you have an idea of population or sample size, whether you have data collection or what mode of data collection, whether the data, what is the neutrality of data, what are the consistency of data, what is applicability, and data analysis. These are the other part of the method research plan. Then final, ethical clearance. Ethical clearance is the most important part for the medical research. So where your proposal is having some ethical standard using animal source, whether you are using patient's sample or XYZ. So you have to get the full ethical consideration in your proposal, and you should not take it lightly, or you should not take it on a lighter mode. Rather, ethical consideration is going to be screened very strictly. So ethical consideration should be properly addressed in your proposal. Another section, or the most important section, is the budget. So what amount of budget, or how much amount is involved for the completion of your project. So you have to clearly state the cost required for purchasing of instrument, consumables, travel grants, books and journals, stationery items, and all other aspects involved in the research. Then additional allowances or overhead for unpredictable disaster, delay and rising costs, etc. You have to also calculate these things. and mention in your proposal. Then manpower, if there is involvement of manpower in your proposal, then you have clearly mentioned about how many manpowers you are involved and what are their gross salaries. You have to put in your budget section, and all the budget should be well justified from the top to the bottom. You should have clearly stated the timeline of in the tabulated form, in how much whether in 1 year or whether in 6 months, how many objectives you are going to achieve. You should have a breakup of the timeline in the form of tabulated data. Then appendices, it comprises of documentation work, what are supporting documents you are submitting. The appendices are specific for proposal, but documents that are usually required include informed consent form for the medical point of view, informed consent form, supporting document, questionnaires, measurement tools, and patient information. These all should be provided in the form of appendices, which are very necessary for the health regarding proposal, health sciences regarding proposals. And finally, we have to cite, the sources of references in our proposal in the form of reference or in the bibliography or reference section. So these whole and soul, what we have just discussed is the proposal writing, and I think this is helpful for the coming researcher. From my side, I hope it is okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving an extraordinary presentation. We have been receiving a pool of positive comments and compliments from the participants. And I would like to start with the question and answer round now. And the first question to you is how to target for DST and SERB level funded projects.
Yeah. So DST and SERB funded projects, should be clearly, they have a clear guidelines available on their website. So we should have follow the strict guidelines, and the proposal should be highly innovative. And what we are going to ask for the funding agency should be clearly easily implementable in the form of our own limited resources. So these are the certain limitations for a researcher to write before a proposal.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We have another question. How many objectives should we keep in our research proposal?
Okay. For a 3 year, for my experience, I am sharing the experience. For a 3 years research proposal, you should have at least 5 to 6, not more than 5 to 6 proposal, and always take a very good opportunity. If you are a computational part, if you are handling a computational science, or you are having a background of computational science, then you should put some objective regarding your own computational work and some objective in the experimental work, because the funding agency don't invest a big amount of handsome amount of money in your experiment, whether they are going to come a positive outcome or not. So always use primary objectives and secondary objectives, computational as well as experimental, 5 to 6 objectives.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you. We have another question. What are the exact expectations of the evaluators of the funded project agencies?
Yeah. First, the most important part is whether your proposal will develop a good knowledge source in the form of high impacting publications, whether you are getting patents, whether you are getting international or national collaboration from your own side, or how much marketable product or marketable product are going to be produced, for example, vaccine or XYZ from your proposal. So these are also considerable while writing a proposal.
Okay, sir. So another question is, are the government colleges faculties preferred more over the private college faculties to accept their research proposals?
As such, from my experience, it is not necessary. The goodness of your proposal is going to be honored. Whether how much or how refined or how good proposal you have written, it will be honored, irrespective of whether you are from government college or whether you are having a private college. Funding agency don't bother about these things.
Okay, sir. So we have another question. How to choose the team members for the project? Do we need to keep our colleagues, or do we need senior members or professors to write with us?
This one is the most interesting question. Most of the time, assistant professor grade or professor grade, most of the time, because when we select a principal investigator of very busy schedule, for example, head of department or principal investigator very busy in own academic work. So in this case, our own research is going to be suffered. So we should prefer associate or assistant professor grade scientist to work in a team, or a young energy boosts more. I think it is my own personal experience.
So when you say that we should have young team, assistant and associate professors, so will it make a difference if we have an added a professor or a senior member, or will it absolutely do if young researchers only apply for the project?
It is not a rule, sorry, I'm interrupting you, because it is not a rule of thumb, but most of the time, because when a professor or a very head of department, they are heavily engaged in their research academics or in their own academic works or their extracurricular activities, then sometimes we miss the scientific temperament or discussion, day by day discussions. So it will, at least it will hamper our own research. And when associate or a professor grade is okay, but very busy person or very, for example, you are going to work with the director of the institute, then a director is obviously, if he is a director or a vice chancellor, he is obviously very busy in the schedule. So I prefer to work with such a young team which can participate energy positively from the both sides.
Okay. So we have a question coming from a participant. Can only doctoral researchers avail funding for the research project?
Most of the time, because in our country, the threshold is doctorate for getting independent research. Before, because at the stage of masters or master in technology, they are not going to so much entertain, because they have no independent experience of research. So at least a doctorate is required for getting the funding project.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the question. I'll ask one more question. Should we, if we have a project available, should we apply to the state level funding first or directly to the national level funding?
Of course, the national level funding is more important, and it will put a golden feather in your own profile. So of course, and if you get the state level is not bad, but preference should be given to the central level funding agency.
Okay, sir. Sir, we have a lot of questions, but still I'll ask you one last question now. So the last question is, what key points would you just mention to apply for a project level funding, both national and international?
Okay. From my little experience, I will say the rationale or logic or hypothesis should be very emphatic, and for proving your own hypothesis, the objectives and methodology should be highly integrated and very clear-cut stated. So these three parts, hypothesis and how to validate your hypothesis, you are putting objectives in a very beautiful way and arranging these objectives, and how these objectives is going to be attained by sophisticated experiment or less sophisticated experiment or with computational experiments. So these all three sources are important: hypothesis, objectives, and methodology. I think so.
Okay, sir. So, sir, thank you very much. And it was indeed a wonderful session in context to project proposal writing. On behalf of the ILM fraternity and our dear participants, I would like to thank you for sparing your valuable time and sharing your views and experience with us on the project proposal writing. It was an extraordinary delivery session by you. And thank you, Dr. Mirza. Thank you very much. So, dear participants, we have now come to an end of the 5-day FDP on research methodology, tools and techniques. Thank you for your kind participation and your interaction with us. I will now hand over to Dr. Garima Gupta, FDP team head, to deliver her vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Purnima. Thank you, Mirza sir, for delivering such a wonderful lecture. Sir, can you please stop the screen sharing?
Stop sharing. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, sir. The root of all goodness lies in the soil of appreciation of goodness. I, Dr. Garima Gupta, on behalf of FDP Organizing Committee, would like to thank our management of IILM College of Engineering and Technology for giving us an opportunity to manage such an event. As you all know that an event like this has not happened before on such a platform, so me and my team faced a lot of challenges, but we are fortunate enough to be backed by a very motivated team. I would also like to express my gratitude to Dr. Jyotsna Singh, Director, IILM College of Engineering and Technology, for providing her valuable guidance and words of encouragement at every stage. I cannot thank enough to my team, which includes Dr. Purnima Lala Mehta, Dr. Deepak Bansal, and Mr. Finney Wilson for their involvement and willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zone. I would like to express our sincere thanks to our distinguished speakers, Dr. John Rajan, Vellore Institute of Technology, Dr. Ashish Manchanda, University School of Management Studies, Guru Gobind Singh, Indraprasth University, Dr. Purnima Lala Mehta, IILM College of Engineering and Technology, Dr. Vinod Kumar Sangbal, Head Department of Education and Training, Gautam Buddha University, Dr. Divya Anand Subba, Scientist C, Scientific Analysis Group, DRDO, Mr. Ashutosh Singh, IILM College of Engineering and Technology, Dr. Naveen Kumar, Amrita School of Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeeth, Dr. Amboj Kumar, Aarhus University, Denmark, and Dr. Mirza Sarwar Beg, Jamia Hamdard, for demonstrating their specialized knowledge on various tools and technologies of research methodology. We are really grateful to all of them for taking out their valuable time. I must say that the knowledge transferred will certainly help a lot of budding new researchers and even to the experienced ones. I'm highly indebted for the enthusiasm shown by all the participants for joining these sessions every day and sincerely listening to all these speakers. This was reflected in their queries, which made this FDP more interactive and interesting. We would also like to thank all our participants for their valuable feedbacks given in the live chat and also for the feedback they will be submitting at the end of this FDP. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to share my thanks to everyone involved directly or indirectly to make this event a grand success. Thank you all. I will end with a quote by Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forgot, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. So I'm sure we all have learned a lot in this FDP. Thank you all. Thank you very much for joining us. Now there are a few announcements which I would like to say. First is, as we have received a lot of participations, so the certificates will be provided in slots and you will get them in the coming week. Please fill the feedback form which will be shared with you along with today's quiz. And the last announcement that due to some connectivity and network issues, some of our participants were not able to fill yesterday and day before yesterday's quiz. So we will be opening the response for these two quizzes for just 2 hours after this session, so they can fill those quizzes. And now I'm sure you all have enjoyed this FDP. We are coming up with another FDP on outcome-based education next week. The registration link for the same has been shared in the live chat, and also we'll be sharing the link along with the today's quiz. So please register that. That FDP will also be as informative as this one. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, stream is ended.
Finally.
चलो मैम बढ़िया हो गया फिर ये पेपर दे
Garima ma'am,